everyone, and welcome to the Recycled First Plan Finalisation training video. I'm Anika, joined by Ben here, and in this session we will walk you through the minimum requirements for finalising a Recycled First plan. So the first step is to ensure that the correct template is being used for the plan. This is available on our Knowledge Hub here. This is what the landing page looks like. When you're on the main landing page of the Knowledge Hub, just go over to the left here and you'll see a navigation pane. Under About Us, there is an item that says Recycled First Policy. If you click on this, it takes you over to another page, and on the right here, there'll be Recycle First Plan Documents and Guidance. If we click on this, there is a number of templates and guidance documents. So for the purpose of this video, we will be covering the Recycled First Plan template and the Recycled First Commitments and Reporting table.
Anika, if I don't have access to this, how can I get access to the Knowledge Hub?
To gain access to the Knowledge Hub, just email us at ecologic@roadprojects.vic.gov.au. So this is the Recycled First Plan, and this plan essentially just sets out our approach to optimizing the use of recycled and reused material on the project. As you'll notice, this template hasn't been filled out, but it contains a number of sections highlighted in blue that needs to be filled out before submitting for plan finalization. At the bottom, you'll see that there is Appendix A, the Recycled First Commitments and Reporting table. This is a table that needs to be attached in an Excel format, and we'll go through this now. This is what the Recycled First Commitments and Reporting table looks like. As you can see, there's a number of tabs at the bottom. The first tab is a general guidance, which gives you some general information about how the template is to be used. There is a version tab down here, which talks to the version that we're on at the moment, which is version 5. When completing this template, we also recommend that you make use of the project revision version and enter in the version that you're submitting. And then we have a number of other tabs which include project-specific items, so the road in general, heavy rail, and light rail. Please note that heavy rail and light rail are very specific to rail, so any projects in rail would be using these two tabs as well as the road in general. For the purpose of this training video, we will just go through the road in general tab because this is the most simple to go through. So for road in general, it will essentially just cover projects in the road space. When you enter this tab, to the top left, there's contractor, project, month. It's really important for tracking purposes for this section to be filled out. In terms of the actual content of this sheet, if you go through, there's a number of line items with recycled and reused materials that may or may not be applicable to the project. Column D is where you'll identify whether an item is applicable or not applicable to the project. Note that this does not confirm that you are committing to the project. It essentially is just confirming that it's applicable. So if you move to the right, this is where the most amount of work will be done between columns K, L, and M. Column K being the total quantity of recycled material. And please note that this is the total quantity of the recycled or reused material content, not the total quantity of all materials used in application or project.
Can you clarify that further with an example?
Yeah, sure. So here, if we were to use, for instance, 100 tons of asphalt and only 20% of the asphalt is recycled, we would enter in 100 times 20%, which is 20. So that would be our number here. Column L here is pre-populated, and the units are generally commonly used measurements.
If we wanted to report in a different unit of measurement, is that possible?
A different unit of measurement can be done. For instance, if instead of reporting on tons, you'd like to report on kg, you can do that. Our recommendation would be to highlight them so we can adjust it on our end as well if you are changing it. Please also note that it needs to be consistent with what's being reported during the delivery phase as well. So if you're changing this to kgs, please ensure that that's changed over in column O as well. Then we move over to column M. This is the total quantity of recycled or reused material that is used as a percentage of the total material quantity for the entirety of that product or material type for the whole project.
How can I decide what a good measure is for column M? What should I be aiming for?
So if you move over to the left here, this generally provides a good indication. This is the percentage of recycled and reused material that's permissible in specifications. As a rule of thumb, the goal is to meet and exceed this permissible limit. Note that if, for instance, we can't meet the 20% that the spec allows, and you are only able to meet, say, 10%, we would require an explanation for that. Please refer to the tables in the Recycled First plan that has space for you to explain that discrepancy. But generally, as a rule of thumb, this can be used as a minimum allowable percentage.
Great, thanks, Anika. What happens if I'm using different suppliers with different, for example, reclaimed asphalt pavement content for the same lime item? How do I go about entering that?
We generally look at the weighted average. So if you're using, say, out of 50 tons, if you're using 25 tons of 40% and 25 tons of 20%, you would just go 40 plus 20 divided by 2. It would be 30% here. You can use the weighted average. Just make a note that if you are using multiple suppliers, just please make use of the additional notes column in column V and mention that you're using 2 different suppliers.
Great, thanks, Anika. And what if a material isn't included in the table, or the project team are trying to capture an innovation? How is that captured within the reporting or commitments table?
If you go all the way to the bottom of this table, there are some item numbers starting with C001, C002, etc. So you would essentially enter that information here. And good note about the innovation. So there is a section in the Recycle First plan that covers any innovative materials that are not already covered here. So with those materials, please ensure that they're captured here so we can track them down the line.
Great, thanks, Anika.
Once all the commitment information's been complete, you would essentially go back to the Recycled First plan and make sure all the information's consistent and check and review to make sure all the information's there. And one thing to note is there needs to be consistency between the Recycle First plan and the commitments table, and try and address all these discrepancies before they're submitted. And once that's done, you'll submit the plan for review and finalisation.
When you say finalisation, what do you mean by finalising, and how can a Recycle First plan be finalised?
A Recycle First plan can be finalised by ensuring all the sections are complete and accurate. What we look for is the commitment information, as mentioned previously, being complete and being consistent with the information provided in the Recycled First plan here.
Great. And when does the plan need to be finalised by?
Generally within 6 months of contract award and before the physical works commence on site. Sometimes physical works commence before the 6-month period, so it really depends on which one is earlier. Generally, we would require the commitment information to be there before projects commence works on site, and that is because we want to use this as a baseline for delivery phase reporting. Thanks for listening in. In our next video, we will cover the Recycle First reporting.